What is up, you guys? This is All Day Any Day 1 on the PS4, and I'm going to be giving you Deadpool's Omega Gear build video. So let's go ahead and get started with the gear set that I'm using. So he's using 3 different sets. You're going to be using Summer's Focus, only 2 pieces of Summer's Focus. You can either use 1 or 2. You don't necessarily need the 3rd piece because it gives you reduced awesome cost, and you don't need that. The second piece or second set is Guise of Green Goblin, so you can either go with 2 pieces or 3 pieces. So I would generally go for 2 pieces if you're using 2 pieces of Summer's Focus. So if you use 2 pieces Summer's Focus, you want to use 2 pieces of Guise of Green Goblin. If you're using 1 piece of Summer's Focus, you want to use 3 pieces of Guise of Green Goblin. And then a third piece, third different set you're using is going to be Mark of War. Unfortunately, I don't have Mark of War, but I do have Gamora's Garments, which is pretty good as well. It's a really good set to use if you don't have Mark of War. But yeah, so you generally want to kind of balance it out. I'm using two Summers, 2 Green Goblins, and I would replace this with a Mark of War. Now, Summer's Focus, what this is, it's a channel-based set. It gives you, on the first piece, 3% base damage to channel powers for each power currently on cooldown. And what also counts as a cooldown ability are the abilities that have stacks. So sometimes you'll have an ability with 3 stacks. If you use all 3 stacks, all 3 of those count as 1 cooldown each. So that's 3 different cooldowns right there. So that's 9% base damage increase. And then on the second piece, you get 20% base damage to channeled powers. So that also really helps as well. And then for the Guise of Green Goblin, on the first set, it says once per 10 seconds, an explosive power will be armed with cluster grenades detonating after impact for an additional 10,345 damage. That's based off of whatever your base damage is. So if you have high base damage, then that damage number will be a lot higher. And it says once per 10 seconds, so anytime you use an explosive ability, which is pretty much all of your abilities, you're going to have a cluster grenades detonating off of your explosive ability. And then the second piece is going to give you 15% base damage to your explosive powers, and then the third piece is going to add another 20% base damage to your explosive abilities. And it'll also give you a passive 25% movement speed increase, which is generally why I would choose the 3-piece Green Goblin and 1-piece Summer's Focus. But I mean, they're both still good to have 2 and 2 or 1 and 3. And then the Mark of War, obviously I don't have it, but what the Mark of War does is anytime you use a knife, axe, a sword, or staff, or some other, there's another ability. But anytime you use any of those, you get 10% increase in your base damage, and it stacks up 10 times. And it lasts for 10 seconds. So you can have up to 100% base damage and 100% deflect rating. But yeah, that's pretty much all you're gonna really need. That 100% base damage helps for any character. So the pieces, the rest of the gear that I have, you definitely, I mean, Golden Bulb Apollo's okay, but I would definitely go with Macron Crystal, because it gives you awesome, it gives you base, just general damage, 600 base damage increase, gives you 1000 or 1500 crit hit rating, and also gives you health. So I wasn't thinking about Golden Bulb, I wasn't thinking about the Macron Crystal at the moment, at the time of when I had Deadpool a while back, but yeah, Macron Crystal is something you're going to want to get. Crossbones Medallion, you're definitely going to want to get this because it says when you hit an explosive power with an explosive power, your next explosive power gains 526 damage. If you don't have Crossbones Medallion, then you can use the Mandarin's Medallion. Mandarin's Medallion is, it gives you increased range damage anytime you use a ranged ability. So that would definitely help you out as well. My catalyst, you generally want to get the catalyst that gives you awesome, but since I didn't get it, it's fine. You want to use a complete relic of Gibberin because it gives you 200 awesome. I'm using a Gem of Curse, Cargo's Rewrites, and then Cybernetic Implant. Um, I can't think of the other two artifacts that I would use instead of these two, but I mean these two are they work just as great, work as well. But you definitely want to get a cybernetic implant because it can give you up to 300 awesome. And then a Maxwell Jordan's Lost Ringstone this is probably one of the only characters that I can say would benefit from this the most because he does more damage with awesome. I think Iron Man and War Machine as well. But Deadpool does way more damage with the more awesome he has. He does more damage. So 250 extra awesome will help him out with his damage output. Now for my abilities, obviously I've got Body Slide by 1, it's your teleport, and then Lil Deadpool, it's an explosive, Hulk Hand Arrow, it's another explosive, Bang Boom Pow, another explosive, and then I'm using Canadian Devil, which has explosives as well, but it's also a channeling ability. And then I'm using Cutting Room Floor, which is your melee ability, which is going to be helping you get your Mark of War, because it hits 10 times, and that's already 10, so you'll be able to get your 10 stacks right away right there. And then 10-ton hammer, it gives you, what is it? Oh, it's a melee and it's explosive as well. And then you have your signature. And then my talents, I'm using Spells Like Victory, Devilish Explosions, Power-Ups, 10-ton hammer, and Dizzying Dance. And then for my infinity points, I put points into durability, 6 points, just so I can get up to that +1 all attributes, and the increased damage reduction by 1%. It's not a lot. And then the rest I put into awesome. And oh yeah, my synergies. So I'm using Black Bolt, Daredevil, Deadpool, Elektra, Hawkeye, Luke Cage, Punisher, Squirrel Girl, Star-Lord, and War Machine. I'm gonna check real quick about the Mark of War. I think it's 10 or 20 stacks. I don't exactly remember. It is 20. You have to get it 20 times, not 10 stacks. It's 20 stacks. So that was my bad, you guys. You have to get 20 stacks in order to get the 100% because it's 5% base damage each stack. But anyways, so I'm going to show you the damage output. Or not the damage, but I guess the rotations and whatnot with these. So this is basically all explosives and plus the Mark of War. So generally you would want to start off with Canadian Devil and then just use all your cooldowns as much as you can. As long as as long as all your cooldown abilities are on cooldown, you do more damage based off of the Summer's Focus. And then with the Little Devil or Little Deadpool, you generally want to just use one just so that it can taunt your enemies and take the aggro off of you. Once the aggro is back on you, just throw another one. And then you would use your melee ability, this one. Generally, if there's a lot of enemies nearby, you're gonna get that 20 stacks because you're hitting a lot of enemies. If you're just doing single target, you're gonna want to alternate these two abilities, 10-ton hammer and Cutting Room Floor. You're gonna want to alternate them. You don't want to use them both at the same time because it's an 8-second cooldown, and you want to make sure you can get those stacks of Mark of War pretty frequently. And I don't know if Foot Gougers would work, to be honest. If it does, then that'd be awesome. But I don't think it necessarily works with the Mark of War. But if it does, then I guess you could use that. But like I'm saying, you want to alternate these two. So you would, let's say I use 10-ton hammer first. I would wait till it's about halfway, then I would use the other ability. That way, you can alternate the two and pretty much keep your stacks going, stacks up. But that's pretty much it with this build. With this Deadpool build, this is an explosive build, pretty much. I might end up making a melee build for Deadpool. But yeah, that's pretty much it. If this video helped you out, go and leave a like, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions or concerns, let me know down in the comment section. And if you have any, I guess, any other artifacts or whatever you use that you think would help this build out, let me know down in the comment section as well. And again, if you have any questions or concerns, you can also message me on my Twitter at alldayanyday1. And yeah, that's pretty much it. This is All Day Any Day 1 on the PS4. Have a good day, good night, and peace.